So the last episode of Reds franchise, we ended up getting through a lot of the season. We went from the trade deadline all the way to the end of the season, and we are met with, I'd call them tough decisions, but they're really just more bittersweet in a way. Like Joey Votto was a career Red who was having he's having his career end in front of our very eyes. He's 40 years old. He's done a great job. Borderline Hall of Fame player. You know, you just worry about the counting numbers with him, I believe, because he's only at just over 2,100 hits in our franchise and just about 2,000 in real life. So subtract the 101. And some of these counting numbers mean a lot more. Even though Joey Votto, you look at him, who's an MVP, on base machine, which is kind of like the big stat of the 2010s plus is on base, and Joey Votto got on base as much as anybody. Really, really good player. You know, you can see a number of seasons over 1,000 OPS, MVP type stuff. He was an incredible player, but he's 40 years old and he is terrible. And maybe a team picks him up. I'm not going to offer him. And I don't really have an interest in bringing any of these players back. Kurt Casale, I'll say, it's nice to have a backup catcher, but I'm not really sure that I want to pay him like a lot of money. We don't really need him. I feel like we could find somebody that's at this level in free agency. I don't know. Although, to be fair, it's not a ton of money. Maybe he's 35 years old. I guess it would be okay to offer him that. No telling whether or not he'll accept it, but I don't really know what his market will look like. So I think we're fine with that. And then as far as our staff goes, our current manager is David Bell. The -2 break, I don't know what that does for simulation. I'm not overwhelmingly concerned with it. That's a name on him, huh? Jack Tomaszewski. He doesn't really do anything positive for us. So I'd sure love to fire him. And we're just going to, kind of eat it for right now and just get better coaches within our entire system, which should help the team perform better in the long run. So we're looking for hitting coaches that can really help us out. I don't care about bunting. Sean Madison looks like he would be an incredible pickup to our team. Now, the thing I wonder about is if we can actually end up signing any of these guys. I remember trying to sign coaches in the past, and they're like impossible. They always decline or go somewhere else is usually what happens. So we might have to overpay some of these guys. And durability, I'm actually going to value kind of a lot. Arm accuracy goes a bit down, but arm strength improves. -1 stealing. I think Connor Portillo be the one. Portillo, maybe. Let's offer him. Ed Jamison looks really good. +3 plate discipline, +2 power. I'm not sure that these make a huge impact, but if we can improve our entire team by overpaying a staff, I would be more than happy to do that. I really wonder how many of these players and coaches we're going to be able to get that we go after. And Ed Jamison is headed to the Braves as first base coach. Connor Portillo is coming to us as a first base coach, though, which is nice. So we got at least somebody. Still going after Sean Madison here. Our third base coach, I think maybe speed is going to be what I go after the most. This is actually not too bad from Ward Valentine here. See if we can just offer him a base contract. And then, we're already offering a Solemez, so let me go ahead and withdraw that. Who is the other guy we were going after? Oh, you know what? Maybe it was the farm director ended up taking a first base coach job with the Braves. Maybe that was it. Try Derek Olson, +1 clutch, +3 contact velocity, and reaction also up +1. I'd like for them to just go ahead and sign. Derek Olson's our farm director, and Ralphie Solemez is our third base coach. So I think we've actually done a really, really good job here. I remember in the past, it was a lot tougher than that. We don't have a hitting coach, though. Sean Madison is still mulling over offers. The Baltimore Orioles are in contention. And then in regards to exclusive free agents, kind of talked about that. Not really interested in that. We got Sean Madison as our hitting coach as well. So I think we got a whole lot better as a team here, just with our staff. And that hopefully will raise everybody on the team. And there are some big free agents. Josh Hader, Julio Urias, CJ Cron, Aaron Nola, Hunter Renfroe, Shohei Ohtani, Luis Severino, and the Mariners brought back Teoscar Hernandez, who they traded for. It should be an interesting free agent class. Now, we're going to have to select our 40-man here, because when the Rule 5 draft comes, players that are not on your 40-man can be drafted, but I don't anticipate it being too much of an issue. You have our draft prospects, by the way, that are now on our team. So we're going to add some of them to our 40-man just to make sure that they are not drafted. And there's some players that I don't care about that are on our 40-man that I'm just going to remove from it because I don't care if they get drafted in the Rule 5 draft. Like Levi Stout, who just got called up in real life. Jose Barrero, obviously don't particularly care for. He still is not good. I'm sorry. Now, if you guys don't know how arbitration works, arbitration is, well, I guess I'll just read what it says on the screen. But basically, it's in baseball, there are arbitration years, and then they will become a free agent after that, where they're free to negotiate an entire contract. But arbitration is essentially the team says you're worth X amount, the player says I'm worth this amount, and they will either try to agree on a figure, or if they don't agree, they will go to arbitration, and then arbitrators will decide how much they are actually worth. So what is arbitration? Players are arbitration eligible if they have between 3 to 6 years of MLB service time, or they are in the top 22% of players with at least 2, but less than 3 years of MLB service time. If an arbitration eligible player and a club cannot agree on a salary figure, both can opt for a neutral party to help find a solution. To do so, the club and the player submit their desired salary figures to a group of arbitrators who will review each figure carefully. While the arbitrators are reviewing the two submissions, players and clubs are free to continue negotiations in an attempt to find a solution. If an agreement has still not been reached, the arbitrators will reveal which salary figure of the two is the most appropriate during a hearing in February. The winter meetings are pretty significant. And Tyler Stevenson is somebody that is arbitration eligible, but I also see as being a huge part of our team. And I'd like to offer him a super long-term contract. He's really interested in something a little bit more short-term. Although, actually, I thought he was like 25. He's 27. So a 5-year deal makes a lot of sense for me. And he will be an everyday player for us, certainly. So 5 years, $50 million is an extremely reasonable contract for what is our best offensive and arguably top defensive player when you talk about the value that catcher brings. So we have offered Tyler Stevenson a big contract. Bruzdar, we of course traded for. A lot of these I'm just going to want to offer, though. He's 25 years old. I'd love 3 years, 10.5, although he might be looking for something a bit more short-term. Yanni Chirinos is going to be somebody I'm more interested in arbitration with. So we will offer him, let's do 168. That will be our salary arbitration offer. Lucas Sims out of the bullpen as well. He going up for us mostly at an ERA under 3 in 2023. That's somebody I'm interested in. But for a lot of these relievers, I'm just going to want to offer arbitration to, especially ones who are, 29, 30 plus. Like Yanni Chirinos, I would throw into that same type of bucket. Now, Jake Fraley, I view as being a huge piece of this team going forward, and he only has a platoon expectation. He's 28 years old. I would give him a 4-year deal and take down the money quite significantly. For Jake Fraley and his production, 4 years, $13 million, I'll even go 13.5, would be an absolute steal. So we're going to offer Jake Fraley that contract. TJ Antone is 30 years old. Arbitration eligible through 2025. He's been good. Do I want to just offer him a contract? His role is depth. I could even consider making him the closer, to be honest. But he's going to be a bullpen guy for me, clearly. And I might be able to get him for fairly cheap. So let's think about 3 years, 6.6. Or 6 flat. I'm pretty happy with that contract. He's going to be in the bullpen, clearly. He's good. Jonathan India is probably worth a long-term contract extension. He is getting better for the most part. Had a decent season. I wish his slug was a bit higher. OPS, I want to be over 700 clearly. He definitely had some hot stretches for us. He's getting better overall. His expectation is platoon. Unfortunately, he's an everyday player for us. So the role I'm going to offer is every day. I'm just going to take the money down to try and get him for cheaper. Except I'd like maybe a 4-year commitment. I don't really want to do anything super long-term. And we'll offer him basically $2 million a year, which I think is going to be good for us if he develops the way I kind of expect him to. You can see really the worst offer right now is on a Bruzdar Gratterall. We offered Sims and Chirinos arbitration. And I'll pretty much go through the rest of these. I think we've covered the big ones. Now, in terms of the tender contracts portion, I'll again read it aloud in case you guys are not familiar with how it works. These players are under team control because they don't yet qualify for arbitration. If these players are not tendered, which means offered a contract, by December 2nd, they will become free agents. So it's going to be important to offer these players contracts to keep them in Cincinnati. If a contract renewable player decides to decline your offer, you can still renew their contract for no less than 80% of their previous salary. So a lot of players to go through here. A lot. Everyone that says contract renewable. And we'll go ahead and try to bring those guys back. I'm going to offer Ellie a big contract. He's our top prospect. I have high hopes that he's actually going to come up and dominate at some point, continue to develop. He has so much potential. And to get him for 2.2 per year over 6 is going to be pretty awesome. So he's going to be a steal through his prime. That's my hope. All right, so let's go ahead and check out free agency here. So you can see the qualifying offers made. That's going to mean their team is trying to get them back. 10 years, $350 million. The Angels want to keep Ohtani. Dodgers really pursuing Julio Urias to keep him. Aaron Nola, the same for the Phillies. Although his offer is not significant according to that graph. 120.6 over 6. It's not a small amount. He doesn't really seem too interested in that. And you can see a number of these other players that have qualified but are not guys have been offered for right now. Hunter Renfroe is somebody I was going to offer. I feel like he'd be a really, really good fit for us. The Angels are trying to bring him back. We are going to make an offer for him, though. I like 3 years, maybe something like 25 mil. I think that's a decent contract offer. He has a ton of power. The contact is actually pretty good here in the game, even though he's not really much of a contact hitter in real life. That would be a big splash for us. And we get a really, really good outfielder, and that's kind of a big need for us right now. And that means we don't have to rush the development of our first-round pick, Alexi Vina, who is good right now. Just, I'd like to kind of develop him a little bit more before calling him up. And then I would say, you know, I'd love to get the Yankee Luis Severino. Injuries have been a big problem for him in real life. He seems like he stayed pretty healthy in 2023 in-game. Pitched nearly 200 innings. And it was overall quite good. The whip was a bit high. But Luis Severino's good. And he's one of my favorite players in real life. And he'd be an ace-level addition to our team. The only reason I would like to go away from him is because I got him in Pirates franchise. And I don't want to do the same thing I did last year. Tyler Mahle could be interesting. A lot of these players are going to go back to their teams, though, which is a little bit unfortunate. The thing is, no one has offered Luis Severino. So I'm going to consider that depending on how free agency goes. Because I do think we need another starter. What about Frankie Montas? Struggled with the Yankees last year and wasn't really that good in 2023. So I think we might pass on that. Noah Syndergaard could be intriguing. He's not great, but performed well in 2023 with the Dodgers in 120 innings. Let's offer Thor a contract here. Something short-term, maybe 3 years, 20. He's going to be in our rotation, maybe even a little less than that. 3 years, 19. Not too bad. He would probably go straight into our rotation. And that way we don't have to call up Gavin Williams right away. I like our bullpen, to be honest. We could use another arm in there. But, it's not in dire needs. But first base is kind of the big thing for us right now. Elly De La Cruz could potentially make the team out of spring training, and then Yandy Diaz could play first. That's an option for us, and maybe a good option. Noelvi's not going to start at the major league level, but first base would continue to be a need. But getting Hunter Renfroe would be big in the outfield. So yeah, I think we might consider offering on a first baseman as well. I did see CJ Cron, who is a heck of a hitter. He's a little bit older, but coming off a pretty good year. But that's kind of a short-term solution. Rhys Hoskins is a bit younger, but the Phillies are trying to bring him back. He's 31 as well, or 31. Brandon Belt, I know, is super old. He was fantastic in 2023, though. I'll tell you, Ahmed Rosario had a phenomenal year in 2023. 283, 327 on base, an OPS near 800. It's not like incredible, but for Ahmed Rosario, that's fantastic. That is a career year. And he's 28 years old. I don't really want to pay him, though, is the problem there. Ian Happ or Jock could be good. Jock Peterson at first base could be the guy. And he had a good 2023. As did Ian Happ. OPS at 770. Jock is going to be significantly higher than that. Joey Gallo is going to be too bad, probably. JD Martinez a bit too old. Could bring Jesse Winker back. And he was good in 2023 in 60 games. I'll offer Jesse Winker a contract. He was a really good Red. Maybe 4 years for him. 15 million, something like that. It's not very expensive. And I'm going to offer Jock Peterson as well. And I think he's going to be an everyday first baseman for us. Would be my goal. And I don't want to offer him 4 years. I'd be more comfortable with 3. 3 years, 14, something like that. So we're going after Hunter Renfroe, Noah Syndergaard, Jock Peterson, Jesse Winker, and Kurt Casale. So some outfielders, but Jock's going to play first base, which he can. And he's not the best defender, but he should rake, which is a nice Joey Votto replacement. And we'll see how that goes. Shohei Ohtani to Tampa Bay. I don't believe that. Shohei is headed to the Rays. 10 years, $334 million. Luis Severino is headed to our division. He's going to be a Milwaukee Brewer. And their rotation is already incredible. They have, of course, Corbin Burns, Freddie Peralta, Brandon Woodruff, and now Luis Severino. Who's going to hit this team? They've got 4 aces. Unbelievable. And although it didn't pop up, our first big signing of the offseason is Jock Peterson. He has good contact numbers, obvious power against righties. He's going to be really good for us, I think, and he's not that expensive. We still hold a commanding lead on Hunter Renfroe just because we're the only team offering a 3-year deal. Nobody seems to want Thor or Jesse Winker or Kurt Casale, obviously. So let's go ahead and modify our offer to Jesse Winker and see if we can get him for a little bit cheaper. I think that makes a ton of sense. And the same thing with Thor, to be honest. You know, he's no Luis Severino, but I think he's going to feature in the rotation, and that's a little bit more of what I'm looking for. The Tigers are interested in offering us a trade. Okay. What do the Tigers want to offer us? Casey Mize for Cam Collier. Well, in-game, that is interesting. His potential is going down. He pitched quite well for the Tigers in 2023. Former number 1 overall pick, I believe, out of Auburn. And just really has not been able to stay healthy and productive in the league. But 2023 in this franchise, in simulation, he was quite good. Cam Collier is one of our top prospects. He's a third baseman who is quite young with a potential. I know we have Elly De La Cruz. I know we have Noelvi Marte and Matt McClain. I'm probably going to decline this. I think it's a good offer, but I'm really more interested in holding on to my pieces at the moment. And we got him. Huge addition. Welcome Hunter Renfroe to Cincinnati. He kind of feels like a Red, to be honest. His contact is going up. He's good defensively. Should be a little bit better, to be honest. Big time arm. Regressing a little bit. He's 32. I get it. But you know what? Hunter Renfroe had a fantastic 2023 in simulation where he only struck out 99 times in 135 games, hit 30 home runs, 30 doubles, drove in over 100 runs. That is a huge get for us. The worst still considering. Jesse Winker still considering. Winker we don't necessarily even need so much. He would be nice, but we have Max Kepler, George Valera coming up in our system, Hunter Renfroe, of course, Alexi Vina coming up in our system, and then we have Rake Fraley. Jock Peterson's going to play first. Let's go ahead and move him now. And he's a 79 overall first baseman, and he rakes. He should be very good for us. He also had a phenomenal year in 2023. Basically 30 doubles, 30 home runs, drove in over 100 runs, 830 OPS. Fantastic season. And Fraley, Kepler, Hunter Renfroe, not a bad outfield. Jesse Winker I like because of the platoon role, and nobody's going after him. However, I'm now less interested in a 5-year deal for Jesse Winker. I'd give him 2 years, like 7. I think that's going to be a little bit better for us. Thor's still thinking about it. He's going to have to make a decision quickly because that offer is not going to stay there forever. Noah Syndergaard is no longer interested in our offer. I'm fine with that. Aaron Nola is still sitting out there, and he's a good pitcher. Certainly. Had a good year in 2023. I mean, an ERA at 3 is pretty awesome. Doesn't really strike that many guys out. Rangers trying to add him to their rotation with Jacob deGrom. Phillies, of course, trying to retain his services. Twins going after him as well. And they actually have offered the most money for the least interest, unfortunately, for them. But, yeah, I think we're in a pretty good spot right now. Still in kind of the same spot we've been with arbitration. Of course, we don't really find out for a little bit. Winter meetings in a week, and this is pretty much where we're going to find things out about this squad. And here we are at the Rule 5 drafts. We have 40 players, of course, on our 40-man right now. In order to participate, we have to drop one off our 40-man. And Leon Richardson's going to be the one. Do not really care about him at all. So he's getting outrighted, which is okay. It's okay. So we could potentially draft somebody here. In the Rule 5 draft, we pick at number 5 overall. And these are not like incredible players, but we might be able to pick up a decent reliever. Now, occasionally, historically, top prospects have become available in this, which is not a glitch I'm going to be taking advantage of. It's just MLB The Show being a bad game. Landon Sims in here. I wouldn't call a top prospect. I would have maybe gone after him. Brett Martin is a good lefty reliever. Had an okay 2022. Luis Torrens is like a backup catcher. And as you see, you're looking at the available players here. It's not a whole lot of talent for the most part. And the deal with the Rule 5 draft is you have to keep this guy on your 40-man the entire year. So we're not going to draft somebody if we don't have a decent amount of confidence in them. And I'm looking at the relievers here. Like, I don't really see anyone that would pitch for us. You know, maybe like Nick Whitgren, but he wasn't good in 2022. Neither was Austin Davis. I'm assuming Kyle Crick wasn't a whole lot better. Alaric, no. Anthony K, no. Jace Fry might have been okay. Didn't even pitch. I think we're just going to pass. Josh Hader headed to the Capitol and play for the Nationals. CJ Cron to the Mariners. He does kind of feel like a Mariner. Has he been before? I remember he played for the Tigers, Rays, and of course the Rockies. Did he ever play for the Mariners early in his career? It was the Angels. Did play for Minnesota in there as well, in between Tampa and Detroit. And he only played for 13 games with the Tigers. I don't really know why I remember him there. I guess it was the COVID year. Yeah, it was with the Angels for a little while. So he's now going to be playing the Angels quite a bit. And, Aaron Nola to the Giants. Kind of reminds me of Tim Lincecum in that picture. I would say I didn't see that one coming. 3 teams were going after him. None were the Giants, and they brought him in. A little bit surprised by that. And we get an update on arbitration now. So Yanni Chirinos, the panel sided with him. He's going to get paid 1.8. Derek Law, 7.3. A lot of these aren't going to be super important to you. Still waiting on Ellie De La Cruz to accept our offer here. I think it's pretty reasonable. But he is still not made a decision just yet. All right, we're just going to go ahead and renew Ellie's contract for $800K. He's not signing on. I don't want to risk losing him, obviously. So we are all set, and we are to spring training. So the offseason is over. And you know what? I think we did a good job. So whatever, Justin Dunn got DFA'd. That's okay. He wasn't really going to feature. But it's going to be interesting to see who ends up cracking the rotation. I assume it's just going to be Hunter Green, Lodolo, Ashcraft, Yanni Chirinos, and then Gavin Williams. Maybe he's going to have to pitch. Miguel Luis, we just drafted. He's 18 years old. I'm not putting him right in the rotation. I know he's a 70. I can't put him right in the rotation. He's got to spend a little bit of time in the minors. So that's a little bit crazy. Him just starting out on the Major League team is nuts. Is that the same for Alexi Vina? It is. He's 18 years old. Why is he already up? I know he's good, though. That's the thing. Our team isn't great, and he's a 75 overall. Of course he's going to be up. But very interesting. But I would say, all in all, a huge success. Hunter Renfroe is now a Cincinnati Red. We got Jock Peterson as our new first baseman. 2 very big bats. And then we did get Jesse Winker as well. So his contract is 2 years, $3.5 million annually. Pretty good for a guy that really hit in 2023. So we might have got a steal with him. And then with the DH, we could DH Jesse Winker every day, and especially against righties. And then we have Jake Fraley to start in left. Kepler can continue to roam center with George Valera on the way. Ryan McKenna getting some time probably. And then Hunter Renfroe as our everyday right fielder. That is a really, really good outfield. Starting shortstop probably will be Spencer Steer. And then Yandy Diaz will continue to patrol the hot corner. Ellie De La Cruz coming up to play either short or third at some point, but probably shortstop. And then Jonathan India, everyday second baseman. Jock Peterson, everyday first baseman. And then Tyler Stevenson at catcher behind the plate. So it's a pretty good team. I know it's not amazing, but we should be more competitive. And you know what we could do as well is make a trade here and look to acquire a starting pitcher. Because that's kind of like our big need right now is to get a 5th starter in. Maybe somebody who's a little bit older. And let me tell you, with the addition of Shohei Ohtani, the Rays have a billion starters. Shane Baz, Jeffrey Springs, who's been great in real life. I know he is done now because I think needs Tommy John. But he would be a nice get for us. We should be able to get a starting pitcher from the Rays pretty easily. I know Tyler Glasnow has kind of been that name that's been floated out as a potential trade piece for them for a while. And what would it cost to get Tyler Glasnow? Nothing. Okay. I'll have to do it manually. They're saying their injury situation is stopping them from making a deal. I think it's going to be on anybody. I don't really get why that is. If anyone knows why that is, let me know. But I'm not afraid to make a trade to start the next episode. Let me know how to fix that in the comment section down below. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the offseason. Kind of a quick, fun episode here. A lot happened. I think we got a whole lot better. And hopefully 2024 is going to be good for us. We could go ahead and sign like Cookie Carrasco out of free agency or Kyle Gibson, Zach Greinke, Adam Wainwright. These are not great options, but they are options. Justin Dunn is in here as well. Could bring Justin Dunn back, and we do. And, you know, we'll bring in somebody for spring training at the very least. Zach Greinke was okay in 2022. Or 2023. Let's give Zach Greinke a contract. It's very cheap. 1-year deal, spring training. Welcome to Cincinnati, Zach Greinke. But that's going to do it for this episode, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. And I will see you in the next one. Take it easy.